beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den. I'm Ku'ule Agbayani, right alongside Paul Breckton. This is the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel. Hello to everybody for tuning in this and every Monday, live on YouTube, and every single weekday here on Hawaii Sports Radio Network from 8 to 10. And boy, oh boy, we definitely need the full 2 hours because thank goodness we have bumped up from 1 hour to 2 hours today. And if we didn't already talk about last week how we are gearing up for the sports season, this is a good almost like test run of a preseason type of Monday that is expected to come because we have for sure got a super, super packed show for you guys because our team was all over the place over the last couple of days, that being UH football practice on Saturday, and Michael was also covering high school football. As we know, that gets underway. They had scrimmages this past weekend, but the season officially starts, technically tabbed as preseason for the OIA, but nonetheless, they are still an actual sanctioned game and will go on the records. That all starts up this weekend. And then I was out yesterday at Aloha Bowls covering the Honua Finals, the second annual Honua Finals, the World Cup of Interscholastic Surfing. So we got a lot to tell you guys about and also hear from a bunch of people that we had a chance to chat with over the weekend. So we'll talk some UH football in just a little bit and let you hear from special teams coordinator and tight ends coach Thomas Sheffield and what he had to say after what I thought was a very good practice for his units on Saturday. And then we'll hear from Virdel Edwards a little later, probably in hour number 2. And then we will hear from a few individuals and some winners from the Honua Finals. And we will also hear from a couple of high school coaches, being that new Moanalua football head coach, Keone Batoon, and also the head coach at Leilehua in Mark Kurisu. Again, Leilehua now moving up a division. So again, it's a packed show for everybody. Before we do get into it first, though, Paul, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here. Like you said, a lot to get into, so I won't talk for too long. It was a fun weekend, a nice weekend, a nice mix between a good amount of work and, of course, trying to relax a little bit before really rubber hitting the road this week because we keep saying, or I keep using that phrase, this week is now actually time. High school football back. We've got UH football still. And like you said, so many other things still going on. So very excited to chat with you today. Very excited to have the beautiful people with us, both on YouTube, like we've mentioned, and over the regular airwaves, whether that's 95.1 FM, AM 760, streaming live on our website, or of course, we love all those who do tune in on demand, but without further ado, back to you.
Right, and they probably will want to tune in on demand, watch, or listen because there's a lot that you could potentially miss. We'll start things off first, though, with some University of Hawaii football before Paul and I give you our takeaways from what we were able to observe from Saturday's full scrimmage day. So the first Saturday last week of practice was still just adding the padding, but this past Saturday was their first scrimmage day, and there was definitely a lot to see. But first, we'll let you hear. I had a chance to catch up with, again, special teams coordinator and tight ends coach Thomas Sheffield, and this is what he had to say. Before we get into what you've seen so far in fall camp, I want to just ask you about just what was your overall goal going into this camp and just in the offseason in general, because your unit in terms of special teams had really the most to replenish. So What was the goal heading into this camp?
Yeah, the first thing we want to do is do a good job of recruiting. So we went out and got Jack Mowry to be our snapper, and then we went and got Billy Gowers from Australia to be our punter, and then continue to bring in other guys. Sean is doing our kickoffs and our field goals, and Kansei as well. But it was just to provide depth at the positions that we needed, and to find guys, be very particular in what we were looking for, to find guys that could come in and do a really good job to continue to elevate the standard, build off of the success from last year, and then just continue to go full throttle. And so we did that. And fall camp, I was just looking for consistency, building consistency, not just within the specialists, but within the units, and I think we've done a pretty good job of that so far. We still got a lot of work to do and still got to push forward, but today I was really happy with what we saw.
Yeah, and you mentioned Kansei there, and he's actually your only returning starter on special teams. So what have you liked? What have you seen that you've liked so far in his development at this point?
Yeah, growth, mentally. A lot of growth mentally. We do a lot of mental training with him outside of the football field. We take him in the office to do some mental training with him. So just building that mind to adapt to adversity and to adapt to situations that, environmental situations that might come up. And then just put him in a leadership role with that position, with bringing so many new guys in, with him being the one returning starter or one returning guy in the room, giving him the leadership role and letting him take it and lead these guys in the direction, and because he knows what the standard and expectations are.
All right, and heading into today, I mean, I saw a lot from both of your sides, special teams and tight ends. Let's start with special teams, though, and your new punter in Billy Gowers. Tell us what you liked, what you're seeing from him so far.
Yeah, today was his first time of really getting kind of that game day atmosphere. He talked before camp or before practice today about being excited about being fans in the stands, having the rush come at him and do all these things, and wanted to see how he'd handle it. And he was dynamite, to be honest with you. I don't want to juice him up too much, but he did a really good job, showed us some things that we knew were in there, and he showed consistency today, and that's what we're really excited about.
All right, I know one part that still needs to be kind of figured out is the punt and kick returns right now. You had a few different guys back there today. So I know, again, I know it's still being figured out, but what maybe are some early things you can tell us in terms of who could potentially be back there?
Yeah, I know who it is. I'm not going to tell Stanford or Arizona.
Sounds good. We don't blame you. We will keep it a secret too. But just overall, are you confident with their ability? Because we talked about it last year. It's a big part of it that people don't sometimes underestimate is just the ability to catch the football when it's high up in the air like that. So are you liking what you're seeing so far in terms of just being able to receive it? Yeah,
I am. And again, we got to continue to coach. We can't get relaxed because this person, that person, and what they can bring. We got to coach them, and so I think we've done a good job of that. To be honest, my goal, is to get it back to how it was when Chad Owens was back there. That's what I want, and I've talked to Chad a lot about that, and he's mentored some of our returners as well, and I'm very thankful for that. And so, just alumni pouring back into our current guys and giving them some tools for success. Chad has done a really good job of that for us, which we're very thankful for. But for all the fans and for the football program and everybody, that's what we're looking for. I want Chad Owens' explosive returns back at Hawaii football.
I think all the listeners already know I've been saying the same thing how many times already. All right, just a couple more for you, but more personal questions. You welcomed another new bundle of joy, so up to 4 now, catching up to the Chang gang. How has that been so far?
Yeah, it's been awesome. My wife, Emily, is the most unbelievable human being I've ever met, obviously, and she holds it down. And I couldn't do what I do without her. And so I'm very lucky, and my kids are very lucky to have such a good woman, a strong woman, and a great role model who can, carry the weight while I'm away coaching football and taking care of 107 other kids, and so very thankful for her. And we got the best family that I could ever ask for, and I'm very thankful for that.
All right, last one for you. I know you can't look at your phone during practice, but did you see that Micah Parsons got traded to the Chicago Bears?
Did he really get straight to the Chicago Bears?
No.
Your team? I was about to say, that's unbelievable. Because if that's how that would have worked out, you being a Bears fan, me being a Cowboys, probably would have had to take a 2-week stop to talking for a while. Nobody wants to go to the Bears, though. So he would have declined that trade. He would have stayed with the Cowboys. Even as unhappy as he is, nobody wants to go to the Chicago Bears.
On that note, thank you so much for chatting. I could not help myself. I had to joke about it. And before we started that interview, and again, that was Thomas Sheffield, UH football special teams coordinator and tight ends coach. Before we started that interview, he was like, just no questions about the Cowboys. And I'm like, I got to ask. I was like, I always ask you about the Cowboys, at least one thing, right? And then, but he didn't know what I was going to actually tell him. I had that one kind of planned that I thought of actually right before we started our interview. And it's funny because yesterday his wife, Emily, actually texted me and said, you should have kept the joke going. It was so funny. And I'm like, I'm so bad at these pranks. I don't really prank people regularly, but then I just, I couldn't keep it going. I felt bad for his face. I'll post the video, or the video is posted on my social media or our social media and then my Twitter. And his face was just pure shock. He thought he believed me for a second. So it was funny. Thanks, Thomas, for letting me joke around with you. But As you guys saw, I know our texter, what was it, like 2 weeks ago, had asked about the return. Like, are we going to have a dynamic returner? Like he mentioned, he has chosen, and I guess the most I can say is there are 2 different returners for punts and kicks, and that's about it. But some things are better left unsaid in the public space because it's not like we're going to need that much help. Again, just kidding. But you just never want to give your opponent anything, especially when it's the first game of the season. As the season goes along, obviously there's tons of film, but when it's the first game of the season, you don't want to say too much. But yes, there are returners, but that will remain private, I guess you can say, until game day. So be sure you guys go out to the game against Stanford on August 23rd. But it was a good practice day or scrimmage day on Saturday. We were able to see a lot. It was very entertaining because it did feel like a true scrimmage where we could really see some of the guys stand out. When we're talking about tight ends, I mean, Devin Tauaefa had a massive catch for a touchdown and kind of a behind the back reception. And even Frank Abreu shined a little bit. Now, I'm not sure exactly how much they'll get worked into the offense specifically in the run and shoot. We do know that they utilize the tight ends. We've seen that in the past. But we're not sure how much they'll get worked in come game time, aside from maybe just your typical blocking type of situation. But they looked great out there. Micah Alihado doing Micah things as well. I mean, we had Micah missile legs for a little bit too. I mean, he kind of dipped, dash, dodged, and picked up about 15 yards, just scampering along. Now, obviously, they wear the red jerseys for a reason, and they can't legitimately be tackled. But he was moving and shaking a little bit. And Luke Weaver also looked pretty good out there, who will be by all accounts, looks like he will be the QB2. Looks better, actually, a week later than we thought. And, of course, Billy Gowers. That brother has a leg on him. So, huge get for special teams for sure.
Yeah, Billy Gowers, we were talking about this up in the press box for a little bit, where we love Lucas Burrow, really appreciate what he did last year. Thought he was actually one of the better punters you could have gotten. But there's definitely a difference in the way that the ball comes off of Billy Gowers' foot. It's a booming punt, and it is
sky high.
It scratches the sky type of thing, where last year you kind of saw Lucas Burrow, his placement was excellent, but he oftentimes would use a little bit more of a bounce and a roll tactic than just straight hitting it into the sky and having it bounce once and out of bounds. Billy Gowers, to his credit, was doing some pretty they were some pretty solid reps, I thought. He's a little bit more solid. He's 2-3 inches taller than Lucas Burrow. He's about 25 pounds heavier than Lucas Burrow. I would hope that he can have a little more power in his leg, but that was encouraging. Not that we were going to punt a ton this year, not that we want to punt. You know, what was it that Caleb Williams said? You know, you're not going to punt too much anymore.
Yeah.
That's what Micah is going to say to Billy Gowers. But overall, I thought he was impressive. I was thinking about chatting with him, but a couple of different media members wanted to talk with him on Saturday. So maybe we'll get him in the future, though. A nice, I can't even say young man because he's older than me. A nice man as a 29-year-old freshman. But no, thought he had a good day. Like you said, Micah doing Micah things overall. In 11 on 11s, I had him down for, let's see, I got him 3 for 3 in 11 on 11 period. Had a 25-yard scramble. And like you said, a touchdown to Devin Tauaefa. Luke Weaver was excellent. He also 3 for 4. The only pass that he threw that was incomplete during the 11 on 11 full field period was tipped, though Lester Longafuaina did end up getting a sack on him to end that series. And that was my takeaway, was Lester looks primed for a big year on the defensive line. And if he can stay healthy on the edge, I would be very, very excited about what he can do, especially being that there is so much talent alongside him now on that defensive line. And not to say that there wasn't last year, because I actually thought our defensive line was incredibly talented last year, considering all things. But this year you have Jackie Johnson, the third back, for another step forward. You brought in Ka'eo Akano, who I think can come in and make an impact right away. Luther McCoy, Dejon Benton, and just all of these other big bodies in the middle. I think that they can all make an impact. And because there is so much talent, the offensive line has to make a choice, right? You can't cover everybody. You can't block everybody. And if you do, well, there are some pretty good linebackers who I know who will make their way through, and just it gives different levels to this Hawaii defense. It's very exciting, I think, personally. But those were my big takeaways. I thought the quarterbacks looked solid. I thought that the offensive line is working. Listen, at the end of the day, that's probably going to be the weakest unit on the offense. Mm-hmm. To be fair, it's not exactly in a great place to go against anybody, because you have two all-conference guys in the wide receiver room with a ton of young talent. You have a young redshirt freshman who you're really excited about in the quarterback room, and a JUCO All-American. Like, you get what I'm saying, where the depth in every other room is just a lot better, where the offensive line, they're working to put their way up. So I don't want that to come across in a way that it's like, oh, this is an unfixable offensive line. They're terrible. No. But they are getting some work in practice against this quality defensive line as well. So I'm excited to see them against somebody else. That's I think, the best way I can say it.
Yeah, and I mean, we finally got a chance to see almost what we've been saying, where Micah is quick with his decisions. He's quick with the trigger when he has made his decisions. So like we heard from Kuaupehopa last week, that Micah makes the job easier. So on the offensive line, because he has the ability and the vision and peripheral to make these decisions a lot quicker. So hopefully, again, it'll be that good balance. But I agree with you, right? There's still a lot more to improve when it comes to this offensive line. But when you have, again, a quarterback like Micah, they'll be able to hopefully balance each other. And I'm sure we talk about how Micah being undersized and you don't want him to get hit. I'm pretty sure Micah himself doesn't want to get hit. So that adds to the amount of times that he does want to make those quick decisions, right? So, anyways, we got to take a quick break. We'll be back to talk a little bit more about UH football, and then also another big day for another sport that is starting up in Manoa, and that's Rainbow Wahine volleyball practices starting today. So we'll continue our conversation about UH sports when we come back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
It's Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel. You guys can chime in on the live YouTube chat or text us at 808-888-KGU1. That's 808-888-5481 if you have anything to say. And we actually did get a question in the previous segment. We were talking special teams. Someone asking if we know which kicker will do the kickoffs for UH this season. Good question. That is not something I asked Coach Sheff. That is not something they actually practiced at all on Saturday. So hence why it wasn't kind of top of mind. But the punt, that's why we were talking about the punts. We can assume it'll probably be Billy Gowers just because he has that big leg on him and can just boot it out of the end zone. If all fails, you just boot it out of there. But I will try to double check and see if we can get a for sure answer for you at that, because there is only a Kansei listed on there, and then there's only one other place kicker on there who's a freshie, and we know that's definitely not going to happen.
Be very surprising.
Yeah, if that happens, I think Coach Sheff would likely want to just take his chances with, again, a older man than Paul.
So funny to think about, dude.
Punt the ball. So, but if you do want an answer, I will try to check with Coach Sheff to find you a for sure answer on that. But yeah, we'll get back into more UH football conversation coming up in hour number 2, as Paul actually had a chance to catch up with UH DB Virdel Edwards following Saturday's practice, and and again, we've been excited for him to be able to come back. I know Dennis Thurman was a little conservative about like maybe his ability to work himself into the rotation, being that he was out for an entire season, as any defensive coordinator would be. But if we can remember what he was like 2 seasons ago, that's why we get excited about him being healthy. Knock on wood.
Please,
for this season. And just seeing him out there, I mean, like, I know was it Michael? No, it was Casey that was teasing me about this. Like when I was talking about Virdel Edwards' physique, but I'm telling you, like, that guy just looks different when he's out there. I like my football players, especially your DBs, to be built and look like top quality DBs. And that is Virdel Edwards. So excited to have him back. But again, we'll hear from him in hour number 2. All right, just want to talk really quick, though, about Rainbow Wahine volleyball. Again, practices starting up this week. So on the show tomorrow morning, you guys will hear from likely Coach Robyn and probably one of the players, I would say a veteran player, but this team is really young. When we take a look at the
what
roster,
constitutes veteran?
what is going to be a veteran player on this list? Again, Rainbow Wahine volleyball season opens up the weekend of August 29th with the Hawaiian Airlines Wahine Volleyball Classic. Hawaii starting off with Marquette and then playing Utah State and San Diego throughout the weekend. But when you look at this Rainbow Wahine team, again, a very, very young team, even players that stood out last season, like Victoria Leva or Miliana Sylvester, they're just sophomores. Like, they are such young players. In my brief conversations with Coach Robyn, that's kind of the similar sentiment that she has had. She knows her team is young. We talked about the team being young last year, but at least you did have those 5-year veteran players in Kate Lang and oh my gosh, her name is Taylor Ikenaga. Excuse me, Taylor.
You got this.
So those 2 players that were your staple and would be consistent every single game. Now you have to fill in that setter position too, because we saw it happen last year with the defensive specialist where Taylor and Victoria would kind of swap out. But now that setter position, who you've had the same setter every single year that was always starting, that's going to be kind of the position that I'm most curious about. I think to start off, she's open to the idea of alternating setters in there as well until maybe they can find the setter that they're going to stick with. But I'm also excited to see just this height that this team does have, because I know some of the fans were a little not mad about it, but they were just like, we need to recruit more height. Well, we got some height this year. But again, per our expectations, because they are still a very young team coming in.
Yeah, I would assume this team will go through some growing pains throughout this season. I think they'll still be good. I don't see many Rainbow Wahine volleyball teams being bad, per se. But I do think there will be frustrating nights. I do think there will be frustrating matches where there will be frustrating sets where you think that this team has figured it out and then they revert back or they take a step back. And then there are going to be nights, I think, that you look at them and you're like, holy cow. Like you said, it's a little bit bigger of a team, some more height. Very excited to see steps forward, like for players like Stella Ademi. I'm curious, does Tali Hawkes take that big step forward? Can you have Millie end up being that superstar in the middle that you think that she potentially could be? A player like Maddie Way, who came in last year in the second half and kind of turned it on and became or forced the hand of the coaching staff, and she had to be in there. So can she take another step forward? But the big thing is exactly what you said. It is a young group. It is a team who will need to go through some growing pains at times, that will need to figure itself out. And depending on how quickly they do that will be the ultimate indicator of what their success will be for this season, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this roster, Brie Gunderson is someone that I'm kind of curious to look at because she's a 6'3" middle blocker senior transfer from Eastern Washington, so already has significant experience, but brings in that height in the middle. Again, that I know for women's volleyball, especially when we go against some of these other bigger teams, some of your P4 teams. I mean, I just remember Oregon coming to town and you're like, hello?
They got
like,
trees.
what is going on over here with this height that Oregon has? I know local fans are excited to see Shelley Reed out of Kahuku. That's one of the more exciting people that were staying here at home for, again, University of Hawaii fans. But some of the other players on this list, and then like you mentioned, Maddie Way, again, 5'11" there at the middle blocker position. Tyler Reese-Mane will be someone that maybe can get worked into the rotation a little bit, but it is an exciting, season to prepare for. And then, like I said, you will hear more from Coach Robyn later today. And I'm going to joke about it once again. One of their veteran players on this team anyways, because they do have some of the older transfers that are coming in. But for the most part, maybe we should take a guess. Like, is it going to be Victoria? Is it going to be,
Feels like
Stella?
it has to be like
maybe Stella.
Stella or Victoria Leva are my two guesses. It's one of those two that we get.
Yeah.
Whoever's the better talker. And if I remember correctly, I think Victoria Leva is actually, she was impressive as a freshman.
She's awesome.
As a speaker, I'm saying, because I remember we had an opportunity to chat with her. I think that's my early guess is her. Because, defensive specialist, libero type of, they're very smart, cerebral, and she's a good talker as it is. That's my guess. There you go.
That just reminds me, we should probably reshare that Mana Wahine Wednesday in which we got a chance to know Victoria Leva now that's coming around to volleyball season. All right, like I said, tune in tomorrow. We'll talk more Rainbow Wahine volleyball and let you hear from Coach Robyn and what she has to say ahead of their first practice that gets started this afternoon. And then August 29th is the opening weekend for Rainbow Wahine volleyball. We're going to step aside. When we come back, we will get you some of the not updates, but a quick recap of the Honua Finals that I was covering yesterday out there. The World Cup of Interscholastic Surfing. Multiple countries represented, including, of course, here in Hawaii. And then we had some representation from California, Japan, and New Zealand. So we'll let you know who won and also let you hear from the event organizers and more. So we'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den, Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we are going to talk about the beautiful sport that is surfing. Over the weekend, the Honua Finals, the World Cup of Interscholastic Surfing. It was the second annual, so it's a growing event. There's multiple countries that are represented, including the U.S., Hawaii, and New Zealand and Japan. Yes, in surfing, we designate Hawaii as its own country because that's how it always is. In the World Surf League and everything, it has its own designation. So don't get mad at me for that. But I know other people will be like, yeah, exactly. So multiple countries represented in there. Just had to explain in case people are like, what?
It is always better safe than sorry.
But I had a chance to go check it out, and boy, was Aloha Bowls pumping yesterday. It was a fun event out there, and as you guys know, if anyone has been to a surfing event, you are at the hands of Mother Nature, and sometimes if the waves aren't as good or the winds are a little too bad, sometimes the event doesn't get as entertaining, but the waves were awesome out there yesterday at Aloha Bowls, and the surfers, as to be expected, did fabulous. Now, taking a look at some of the winners for you that we're pulling up here on the screen. The team winners was Kamehameha School's Kapalama for the girls, Maui Preparatory Academy for the boys. Shortboard winners are Saho Hirata of Japan for the girls, Zoltan Polson of Maui Prep for the boys. The longboard winners are Puaohi DeFries from Kamehameha Kapalama for the girls, and Kaleo Pinaris Schooley from Seabury Hall for the boys. And the bodyboard winners was Kailana Tong Matthews of Kamehameha School's Kapalama for the girls, and Felix Barton of Hawaii Academy of Arts and Sciences, PCS, for the boys. Now, some of you guys may be kind of curious as to what exactly this is, and I know many might be hearing about it for the first time. So I had a chance to actually catch up with the event organizers, Dave Kazama and his daughter, Maya Kazama, that's how this event even came together in the first place, because it is very, very well put together. So just some background information for all of you guys tuning in. Here is my quick chat with Maya and Dave Kazama.
Me and my sister started a nonprofit called Q Collaboratives, and then from there, through that nonprofit, we started to have the idea of making an interscholastic surfing competition for all the schools, like the top schools on the island and then around the world, and that's how we started Honua Finals.
Yeah, and the genesis of it was when we'd go to the national championships in California, and all the local kids there would dominate the local breaks in California, right? And they're very good. They're very good. But also there's just so much talent here in Hawaii who maybe couldn't afford to fly to California, or if they could, they couldn't spend long enough to get used to the break. So we wouldn't do so well. So then we thought, why don't we bring an international championship to Hawaii? This year we have New Zealand, Japan. Next year we'll have Australia and Canada. And then we have high schools from all 4 counties in the state of Hawaii. So it was to bring opportunity to local kids, but also to kind of unify the voice to push for surfing as a high school sport in Hawaii.
Love that. And just tell us a little bit about how things go behind the scenes, like the manpower that it takes, because it's a well put together event. If people haven't come out here, it feels legitimately like all the other surfing competitions we have all over the island here. So what are some of the things that go into putting on something like this?
Well, family of 4 can't do it alone, so we have a lot of sponsors. We have our main sponsors are Nike Swim, Waikai, Duke's Waikiki, Livestream Hawaii, Royal Hawaiian Center, Hawaii Tourism Authority, and Hawaii Tourism Japan. And from there, they kind of just helped us set everything up. Duke's Waikiki gave us free food. We have an opening ceremony. at Waikai before the competition starts. Hawaii Tourism and like Authority and Japan brought Japan here. They gave them air ride and a place to stay.
The Waikiki Malia Hotel really took care of the Japanese surfers too. So, yeah, like Maya said, we definitely couldn't do this alone. We're a small part of a very big team, and we just love kind of how the community comes together for this event. You know, the schools, Outer Island schools fly in, and everybody is just, there's so much aloha today and yesterday. It's really fun.
And it, like I said, well put together event. Last thing for you guys, you mentioned the nonprofit. Are there ways that some of the general public here in Hawaii can maybe get involved and help out for the next one, or just the future of surfing here?
Support highschoolsurfing.com, but also just come out. Just come out and watch and enjoy.
Yeah, come and cheer for these kids, you know, so make them feel like the rock stars they are.
Yeah, make them feel like the rock stars they are. Cheer for the kids. And again, that was Maya and Dave Kazama, the father-daughter team that puts together the event organizers of Honua Finals, and also his other daughter, Sunny Kazama, and then, of course, his wife as well. So, family of four, again, cannot do it all, like they said. And shout out, if you guys want more information, go to, the nonprofit that Sunny and Maya started, it's called Q Collaborative. So it stands for Connect, Uplift, and Empower the youth of today and generations of tomorrow. So again, Q Collaborative is the nonprofit that they started that produces the Honua Finals. So if you guys want to go ahead and support high school surfing, that's the exact website you can go to make a tax deductible donation. But yeah, shout out to that family, man.
How impressive. And not just how impressive, how well spoken the daughter was, how fun that must be for the family in general. You know, and anybody who listens to this show knows that this is a big family show. So anytime you get a story like this, anytime you get an event like this, and it's so well put together, it seemed like it was so fun, and what an opportunity for so many athletes who don't normally get a chance to get this type of recognition, media coverage, or even hubbub, right? I mean, surfing, while it's awesome and it gets fanfare here in Hawaii, it's still a growing sport in terms of popularity, in terms of coverage, in terms of how you can support, like we've talked about, these young student athletes, these young athletes in general. So just an awesome time, a really cool event. I'm still jealous of all these people because I can't even surf a lick, and they're all incredible.
Gotta go out and try it.
I will. By the end, it's just it has to be done. But
and prior to this, I think, and now it worked. They said, they wanted to push for interscholastic surfing here for Hawaii, and it is happening. So even more so, their initiatives have brought forth or helped to bring forth an officially HHSAA surfing being introduced. So huge shout out to them. Again, the Honua Finals, where they have multiple countries involved with it. And prior to this, I can't recall, there being any competition where it was more interscholastic surfing. You do have the WSL, and you have other surfing competitions as well, but nothing that I can recall. And someone can text in or chime in on the YouTube chat if I'm mistaken, but I don't recall any type of event like this where you could represent your high school and be with your team that is part of your high school, and which is what we'll see when we come to the HHSAA seasons. But I also, speaking of high school level, I also had a chance to chat with Kamehameha School's Kapalama surfing head coach, Jason Shibata, and he is someone that has come full circle, as he tells me, because he is a Kamehameha School's alum. He is also a former professional surfer. I want to say former in the sense that, maybe not necessarily getting paid 100% to surf, but the guy can still rip. So he's still a really, really good surfer. But yes, I had a chance to catch up with Coach Jason, and this is what he had to say. Again, his team winning the team title for the girls. But here's Coach Jason Shibata. All right, Coach, first things first, I want to ask you how you feel about this event as a whole. Second annual, but how does it feel to have this
interscholastic surfing competition?
The Honua Finals is an incredible gathering of all these interscholastic students from around the world. You know, having that international aspect and layer added onto it is very special to share our waves and our culture and our spirit and stoke for surfing with, you know, surfers from New Zealand and Japan and surfers traveling from California. It's great. And so, you know, big shout out to all of the event sponsors and supporters, especially the Kazama family, for putting in the work and kind of spearheading and making this push for all of these like young students and, you know, aspiring future professional surfers and hobbyists at you know, in their future. So we're happy.
How do you feel about the way that your girls did? Couple of top finishes and as well as the team finish. So what can you say about that?
First off, with the team finish, it's really special because that's what's unique about the way the interscholastic surfing style of competition is set up. There are individual achievements, but again, the team is there to support each other, and through wins and lessons learned, to be able to do it together is great, and it's special, which is unique from other individual like centric type of surfing competitions. And then again, as a team, they can lift each other up, and when you have these individual like incredible achievements, to walk away with a gold medal or a podium finish is really unique, and it's really special, and we're really proud of the girls.
Yeah, and for you, I mean, Daniel was telling me, you know, you won a couple of competitions out here, but as a coach of Kamehameha School's Kapalama, what does it mean to you to be able to pass on some of your knowledge to the next generation?
I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to be able to coach and represent Kamehameha at Kapalama, you know, being an alumni there and a part of the very first surf team, and kind of through the years of that, it's really special to come full circle and come back and support these young surfers and try and help mentor them, and using surfing and competition just kind of as a bridge and a metaphor actually for their lifetime. And so a lot of life lessons learned through it, and it's been great. It's really special to be on this side as a cheering squad, as a support system for these surfers. So yeah, I'm really proud.
And last one, now you said coming full circle and this interscholastic meet, but now we're going to see it at the high school level officially. So again, how does that make you feel to know that surfing is finally going to be a high school competition here in the home place of surfing?
It's incredible achievement, I think, for surfing as a sport, for Hawaii as a country, and Hawaii, you know, our Hawaiian culture, and what we believe and stand for, like first and foremost as Kanaka, along as you know, being passionate about the competitive side of surfing. So it's unique, it's special, it's been a long time coming. A lot of people along the way, you know, really making this push. So we're really proud to represent here at the Honua Finals this year, having the live stream for the world to see the talents of these students and how special and unique it is. And for it to be officially named as a high school sport, it's monumental, you know, and there was a lot that went into play, especially with organizing of the different schools to like get it together to make it become a HHSAA sport. So thank you to the HHSAA for pushing it through.
All right, last one now, because it's going to be kind of this new sport in high school. It's a possibility, just like we saw with girls flag football. A lot of girls played sports for the first time, or flag football might have somewhat of the similar thing in terms of student athletes that it's their first time surfing in a competition. So what is maybe some advice that you would give to some of those young surfers that will get very, very nervous for the first time, but what is something that maybe you tell your own surfers, or can you tell those young surfers out there that might be competing for the first time?
For the surfers that are competing for the first time, trust in yourself. The best thing you can do to prepare for competition is just prepare every day, you know, and it's really your relationship with the ocean within that 15 or 20 minute time period. So a lot can be learned even beyond the accolades of competition, but it's just really understanding and connecting with nature.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you. Mahalo.
Again, that was Coach Jason Shibata, the head coach for Kamehameha School's Kapalama surf team, and his team took home first place for the team competition in the Honua Finals, and also had a couple of his ladies that captured titles that in longboard and shortboard bodyboard, longboard and bodyboard competition. We'll chat more about surfing coming up in hour number 2, but we do need to take a break, and when we come back, we will close out with some high school football, as Michael Esquero was all over the place covering the scrimmages that were happening. So you guys don't want to miss it. We'll hear from one of those head coaches that he was able to chat with. So we'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake up in the den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. Bruising.
I gotcha. That was me. I was trying to count you down from a commercial because I don't know. And from there, it's just been pure chaos for the last 45 seconds.
Well, it felt like we started the show in like pure chaos. Because
well, that's normal for us. Let's be fair.
Oh no, it's counting down. Oh no, we're gonna start.
Anyway, let's try this again. 3, 2, 1.
I meant to say breezing, not bruising, in case our boss is listening.
Oh,
we're not
golly.
bruising. Might sound like it, but we're not.
Shoot.
This is only coffee in this cup. This is only coffee.
I
That's
wasn't
all.
even thinking of that. Like bruising, like physical.
Oh. See, I was thinking B-R-E-W.
I followed as
I know
soon
it's
as you
not
were
a
like,
word.
this is coffee.
I know it's not a word, but
yeah,
I was
but yours was way more creative. I was just like is
bruising,
Is
like
who
punching.
gonna fight me after this? Like, did I do something wrong? Oh God.
Whoopsie.
Anyways,
all right.
breezing through.
Well, you know that's something that does get a little bruising, like the one you were thinking of, is football.
That's true.
Of course.
Can
So there we
confirm.
go. That's what we're gearing up for. We're getting back on track to high school football again. Michael Esquero was out covering a bunch of stuff. There's a lot of photos on our social media at High Sports Radio on Instagram if you want to check it out. So he was at multiple games, but he did get a chance to catch up with one of the head coaches of the teams that we are actually going to cover this Friday. Again, our first broadcast of the OIA season, as we are a proud partner, radio partner, and exclusive radio broadcast partner of the OIA. We will bring you Waipahu and Leilehua this Friday. And
Yes, sir.
Michael was able to catch up with the head coach of Leilehua, and Mark Kurisu, and this is what he had to say.
All right, Coach Mark, first scrimmage, I think for you guys in the books, what were some of your takeaways from this three-way scrimmage at Wanalua and Roosevelt?
Great competition. I think that was the coolest part. I think everybody kind of had a hiccup going in with the tsunami scare. So just to kind of take a big, deep breath, sigh relief, and just find that joy again while we're out here. Three really solid squads, very intense, but you could see how well coached everybody was. Nobody, over the top, excessive trash talking celebrations. It was just business as usual. No sense. There's no joy in humiliating anybody. You just did your job and you realize it as a team,
I think the biggest storyline for your team this year is Leilehua moving up to the Open Division. I know the last time you guys were in here was a little rough, coming out of COVID, especially from a military school like you guys. But I feel like you guys maybe are better equipped at handling this transition this year.
Yeah, I agree 100%. The pandemic was tough just because we had to get vaccinations and stuff, and even our coaching staff, right? So now we got to, 2 years out of the Open, we got to build back. Families came back home. Last year's result was a tremendous accomplishment. So now we just want to, we always say about leveling up. We want to level up and take the next step and compete now in the Open, and do our part.
And you talk about leveling up, right? You guys have some young players that are getting Division I FBS offers. Jason Monga, I think
Kahikapu
Young, and then, the Lua brother is pretty good, so just kind of talk about this roster.
Well, with those three young men being able to attain those type of accolades, it just continues to push forward that when you do things the right way, especially as a program, we do things the right way, we prepare our kids properly, great things really happen for them and they get to really see it. And then, of course, it's their own teammates experience it too, So that's really special to see,
I don't want to give anything formational way-wise, but it seems like you guys are kind of implementing the tight end a little bit. As you go to the Open Division, how important is it to at least have a ground game to kind of keep the defense honest?
Yeah, this year we got Coach Dante calling it. He called our JV offense last year. 2 years in a row, I believe he took us to either the OIA semis or last year was a championship game versus Wahine. So for him to come up, we haven't changed anything. Bryant Moniz had one of the leading rushers in the state. And so I think we're just going with what our personnel allows. And we can do certain things and allow our players to make plays, That's really good.
One last question. Next week your opponent Waipahu, they're coming down from the Open.
Yeah.
We'll have the game on radio on Hawaii Sports Radio Network 95.1 FM AM 760. Your thoughts on that matchup?
Yeah, I think the last time we played them was in the OIA semis. So being able to get back and play with Coach Bryson and his Waipahu squad, that's going to be another great test right off the bat. So we're excited to see what we can do as a full slate. It's kind of hard prepping for two teams, but we just wanted to get reps against different guys. So it'll definitely be a lot more interesting going into next week. So.
All right, cool.
And that was Michael Iscaro catching up with Leilehua football head coach Mark Kurisu. Again, you'll be able to hear that game between Leilehua and Waipahu Friday nights right here on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network and hawaiisportsradio.com. All right, coming up in hour number 2, we will let you hear from Keone Batoon, the new football coach for Moanalua. But we do need to step aside and want to start off hour number 2. We will chat more University of Hawaii football and let you guys hear from Virdel Edwards. And Paul had a chance to chat with him following practice on Saturday. So again, more University of Hawaii football, more surfing, more high school football, another packed hour here on HSRN. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Fun Factory can't make taking tests fun, and they can't make homework fun, but they can make good grades fun. Upload your report card and turn in your A's, B's, M's, and MP's into game tokens. Visit funfactorygames.com/honor-roll.
What if we told you that you could turn $1 into $2 just by going shopping? Bet. Introducing DoubleDownDealsHawaii.com, Honolulu's home for buy one, get one free deals from your favorite local activities, restaurants, and travel spots. Visit DoubleDownDealsHawaii.com today, where you don't need luck to save. Are you a business owner interested in radio and digital advertising without ever cutting us a check? Send us a DM on Instagram or Facebook at Hawaii Sports Radio for more info about this 100% trade opportunity.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den, hour number 2. I'm Ku'ulei Agbayani alongside Paul Braxton. This is the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, HawaiiSportsRadio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel this and every single Monday. And of course, you can listen to us live every weekday morning from 8 to 10 and listen on demand wherever you get most podcasts, or on Mondays now you can kind of rewind and watch the show on demand. And it has been a packed show so far, and it's just about to get even more packed. I apologize to...
I just wanted to have fun.
I was like, I apologize to anybody that was sticking around, and well, still stick around, please. But I said we were going to get into some more UH football and hear from Virdel Edwards. We might have to push that back a little bit because, as you heard that sound that Paul played, we have breaking news, everybody. Breaking news coming through the pipe this morning for the University of Hawaii men's basketball team, in that the leading scorer of last year, Gytis Nemeiksa, is coming back. He is coming back, you guys. The University of Hawaii men's basketball social media had just posted that right as we went to commercial break going into this hour. So that is huge. As if you guys haven't heard us talk enough about how loaded this team is and is going to be with all the transfers coming in and some of the few guys that were still here, how much they have developed and gotten better so far during the offseason. Now you add in another piece in Gytis Nemeiksa, who by all accounts was pretty much one of the top fan favorites of last season just because of his grit. I would talk about it all the time. He just had a different look on his face. He would work for shots. I know he took a little bit of a dip in production last season, and some of that can be on the rotation and different things that they were trying out. But Gytis as a player, and then bringing Gytis into the stack lineup that we already said, oh my goodness, everybody. As if we weren't already fired up again about the men's basketball season. I'm really bummed that we're going to have to wait till the end of this year. But holy smokes, Paul. Gytis Nemeiksa, a.k.a. Nemo, found his way back home.
Yeah, Finding Nemo. We've always talked how much we love sequels. No, this one actually is really, really exciting news for the Rainbow Warriors. Obviously, the leading scorer last season, you already mentioned that. This is somebody who comes into a team who is a lot more built out than he did last year. He was the key piece last year. He was the guy last year. This year he comes in and there's depth all around him. I sit here and I'm excited to think about the practice battles between him and Jalen Myers on the glass, because that was something. Yeah, obviously Gytis, a phenomenal scorer in bursts and bunches, and had 6 20-point games, 3 double-doubles, blah, 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 blah. All these accolades and stats. And he did some of those off the bench as well, which is something I want to get back into. But I sit here and I think about the depth around him, the shooting around him this year, the different players who would give him the ability to actually flourish a little bit more, and how exciting that can be. I don't know if that means he's a leading scorer on this year's team, but it does sit here, and I think to what he was early on in the year last year, right? Mm-hmm. Where he was coming off the bench, and in 20-minute spurts, he's giving you 16 points, 18 points, 22, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. And some of those, he had a 16-point, 10-rebound double-double against North Carolina off the bench in 17 minutes. He can he can impact games in a big way, just in little spurts. And I think that'll be very interesting to see for this year's team. I said it before, it's already a loaded class. You come into a room that returns Harry Ruliadef, who he was already battling with for the starting job last year. You also added Jalen Myers last year. Do you see now Harry can actually slot in as your backup 5, and you just go with Jalen Myers and Gytis Nemeiksa kind of battling for that starting 4 slot? There are a lot of different variations for this Rainbow Warrior team for next year, and Gytis provides them another few that they can go into it with. This staff has done a great job recruiting the portal and doing a great job putting together the team before the school year started compared to last year. Whereas now Gytis, like I said, last year he comes in, he's the key piece, he's the main cog. It was the end of June, and he was kind of waiting for everybody else to join along with him, where this time he's joining on in. He's the one who has already been in the system, and all that has happened is the players have improved around him. So I don't know. I'm very excited for it. An excellent addition for the Rainbow Warriors in a sense. Excellent retention for the Rainbow Warriors. And I mean, I saw fans when he initially entered the transfer portal, they were like, this is the guy that we needed to keep. This is like the one that I'm most disappointed about, because obviously you love you love Akira Jacobs. You appreciated him. He was a fan favorite. And all the guys who transferred out, we appreciate their time here. But Gytis was one where it felt like the basketball impact was even bigger for a team that in the moment was not very good. Feels a lot better now that you've retained that guy and everybody else that they've brought in. So awesome news to kick off this Monday. I was waiting. We've been kind of teasing it for a while where, basketball, they've been too quiet for too long. It feels like something is in the works. Clearly something was in the works. It's just it finally comes out now to kick off August.
Well, and then I'm kind of curious because I know Coach Ganat had said, like, oh, there's still a couple more pieces that we're looking to add. Now, was he being literal in that couple means two? Because this is only one of two. So could we see, I'm just totally like getting excited and throwing it out there. But if we didn't get another piece, this was already big enough. It was almost like getting two pieces because, again, we already know what Gytis Nemeiksa has the ability to do here at the stand, and how he feeds off of all the fans and that excitement they bring, right? Because I know some of the criticism has been, we want to see a more exciting style of basketball sometimes, and that's what Gytis Nemeiksa brought last season. Yes, he scored a lot, but he just had, like, I can't say it enough, he just had that something, like, on his face. You just knew he was like a killer. And I made the reference, he felt like one of those guys, he's like the assassin that you see in movies or something, or one of the gang members, like international gang members. Like, he just had that, like, that look and that demeanor about him. Like, he was just always going to look to score in a different way that we've seen from other players. And naturally, he's not like she's not necessarily like your point guard or your guard that have like that ability to always score. Almost like what we will likely see from a Dre Bullock, right? It's going to be a different, like, I'm going to look to score, but also just very, very entertaining. And this is huge news for the Rainbow Warriors because, like you said, felt like it was getting a little too quiet, and then bam, here we are.
Well, yeah, just with a couple of spots left or a few spots left on the roster, it certainly felt too quiet to go this far into the offseason with nothing working. I also want to mention he was the only guy who got up over 100 or at least 100 three-point attempts last year. Now, I think that'll change a little bit this year. I think you'll see the Rainbow Warriors put up more from long distance, but that's not something that I overlook. Now, he shot 32%. He made 32 of 100 three-point attempts. He made the math really easy for me. It's been a long time since I took a math class, so thank you for that. But that alone, the willingness to take them, and I talk about it, and I'll talk about it a little bit, where his minutes fluctuated throughout January and February. Yeah. Like, he was a bench guy in that first few weeks of the season. They kick him into the starting lineup. And then all of a sudden, it just felt like he was strapped to the bench. It was like 12 minutes a game and these even shorter stretches. And I don't know the reason why that was. Maybe he was going through an injury. Maybe, obviously Harry Ruliadev was playing excellent basketball during that. And sometimes, unfortunately, when you play the same position as the guy who is kicking butt and taking names on the court, your minutes are sliced down. Now, that being said, I would have liked to have seen Gytis still get some time and maybe play next to Harry, but that's an old old chapter we don't need to open up again, because now Gytis comes in and he's able to play in a similar way. He's able to play kind of in that super sub bench role, or maybe he's a starter again. He can be that Gytis of the early season, and it doesn't feel like, why the hell don't we have Gytis out there?
Yeah.
It's going to feel like, oh, nice. You just had to deal with Jalen Myers being a total pest on the boards for the last 8 minutes. Here's Gytis Nemeiksa, who does the exact same thing. Like, it's just, it adds another layer, some more depth. It's very exciting. And you know me, I'm a big proponent of three-point shooting. Anybody who adds more shooting to next year's team is a plus to me. So this is great news for the Rainbow Warriors. It's great news for Oran Ganat and staff. And I have to imagine that it's nice for the guys who are returning just to have another returning face with them next year. And that's obviously AJ Economo, Aaron Hunkenclater, and Mr. Harry Ruliadeff himself.
And I want to kind of add on to your point about a three-point shooting, his three-point shooting, because, yes, statistically and just as a team, they were not good. And we've talked about that before. Their three-point shots, that they were not good. But Gytis, even though statistically might not be that great, if you could stat like clutch shots, he came up with kind of like the bigger three-point shots in some of these games, right? Like you said, not afraid to take those big shots, and he nailed them a lot of the times, right? Like overall, he wasn't inconsistent he was inconsistent if you're looking at the whole season. But again, that was just an entire team problem. But he did come up pretty big, and you add him, like you said, you add him in to a team that a lot of them can shoot. You have your center in Big Fish that can shoot. So now we have a Big Fish and we got a Nemo, and we just like, who gets to have the GIF, Paul, with the Brada Kalans with the the Big Fish from the tsunami.
Anyone who allows me to use it, I'll use it for both of them. I don't care.
We should do like, I'll separate it, and like one will be like and one will be like the little gun movement of the fish. Perfect. Or something.
Whatever it can be, as many times as I can use that GIF, I am going to use that GIF. Though I did almost post it's some teasing of news where it was like I used Tanner Cuff and a TikTok that he did, because, oh man, between Tanner Cuff TikToks and Dre Bullock vlogs, like the amount of content that I might have for funny coverage of the games this year, I'm so excited. This team, it has personality, which allows fans, and that's something like, if we actually want to get into a bigger point, like this team has the personality to allow fans to fall in love with them. Mm-hmm. Like, yes, they are all the typical Oran Ganat guys. Like, they're good people. Like, I've enjoyed chatting with each of them. Each time I go to practice, they all come up to me, they'll shake my hand, they'll dap me up, whatever it may be. They don't have to do that. So, like, it is the regular persona and character guys, but also they have the personality, and you've seen it with, Dre from NC vlogs and stuff like that.
It's similar to like Jared McCain, who we saw last season, right?
Great comparison.
He was like Duke. He was like the most popular player of Duke because he was just a fun guy who liked to post a lot on social media, and people still follow him now. He got a lot of NIL deals, and then now with the Phillies. But yeah, to your point, like, I paid attention to Duke basketball because of Jared McCain, right? Yeah. Like, that pained me because obviously I'm going to pay attention to Kansas basketball, but he was just someone that you like to follow. And you're right. Like, it's not, in this day and age, that's not something that's bad to have on your team to bring more attention to your program.
Well, we can also be honest here. Like, there are times where the men's basketball team gets a bad rap. Last year was tough. We saw fan interest kind of dwindle. I don't think you'll see that with this year's team, or at least fans who are smart, and I don't mean that in like a derogatory way, but fans who like are willing and smart enough to give this team a chance are going to fall in love with them. I truly feel that way because they have fun players, they have talented players. I think they're going to win more this year, and the personality is just infectious. I mean, think about Aaron Hunkenclater last year. The more he played, the more we saw him come out of his shell. We're continuing to see that this year more and more as he grows as a player. And he's far from the only one. Even Harry Ruliadeff, who, honestly speaking, is one of the more quiet guys, he's started to open up a little bit more with this group that has come in. So I do want to give, it's a testament to the transfers they've brought in where, yeah, they're good character guys, they're high character guys, all that stuff, but it's also, they're fun to be around. They're people that you want to root for, and not in a, oh, they're nice guys, but in a like, oh, they're fun. Like I could see myself being friends with them type of thing. So it's just something else that I wanted to put out there. I think Gytis fits along with that personality. I think this team is a lot easier to root for this year. And a lot of that comes from because there's a belief that it can actually win basketball games. And that's, at the end of the day, that is the most important thing.
So if you're just tuning in right now, Gytis Nemeiksa, the leading scorer from last year's squad for the men's basketball team, is returning to the University of Hawaii, and we will wait to see if there will be any more additions. I can't imagine how much better and more deep this team could be, but we'll take as much as we can get. Something else that was announced this morning as well, a bold week for the Big West Conference. Again, Hawaii's for men's basketball anyways, the last time that Hawaii will compete in the Big West. So they opened their 11-week true round robin basketball slate with bold week taking place December 4th through the 6th, and the University of Hawaii, the men's team will open up at home, and the women's team will be on the road, opening up against UC Davis on Thursday, December 4th, and then Saturday, December 6th. Remember, we were the lone team that got left out last year because of just the way the scheduling was, but they said that wouldn't be every single year. Well, now things are going to change anyways. But Hawaii does have 2 games now for this opening of Bold Week. So opening up at UC Davis, again, men here at home, women on the road. And then Saturday, December 6th, we get Cal State Fullerton. So once again, Hawaii here, or the men here, and the women on the road. So Bold Week, December. Whew. Is it basketball season yet, Paul?
Dude, I'm super pumped for it. I'm ready to go, and we still have an entire football season to go. And the funny thing is, I don't want to skip football season. So it's like we have months on months of excitement on the way, and I hope that the beautiful people are ready just as much as we are.
Oh, and we will get back to football now. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, we'll get back to some University of Hawaii football and let you hear from DB Virdel Edwards, as Paul had a chance to catch up with him following Saturday's scrimmage day. So we'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network and streaming live on our YouTube channel like we do this and every Monday. Thank you guys for tuning in. You can chime in on the live chat or text us at 808-888-KGU1. That's 808-888-5481. We're just rocking and rolling through this Monday morning. If you guys just missed it, Gytis Nemeiksa, the leading scorer for the UH men's basketball team, there was an announcement via their social media that he is coming back. So if you missed any of that convo that we were talking about it, you can listen or watch back on demand. But we're going to switch back over to some University of Hawaii football conversation. In hour number 1, we did open up talking some special teams, and you heard my chat with special teams coordinator and tight ends coach Thomas Sheffield. So again, check it out on demand if in case you missed it. But Paul, following Saturday's scrimmage, again, just a lot to take away from Saturday, had a chance to catch up with another player that we're going to see making his return to the football field after being sidelined last season due to injury in Virdel Edwards. By all accounts, should be, again, knock on wood, fingers crossed, all of that stuff to hopefully have him healthy out there. But Paul had a chance to catch up with him after Saturday's practice, and here is what he had to say.
Just finished up week 2 of training camp. Let's just start there. How's it feel to be out there with the boys and actually competing once again during practice?
It feels great. Like I said, it's a blessing for sure just to be back out with the guys that I've been competing with these past couple of years. A lot of the guys have turned into vets, so now we're leading the defense, as much as possible. But all in all, it's a blessing. I'm humble. It took a while to get back, but I wouldn't take it back for anything, like I said. So.
And how was your recovery? How difficult was last year as a competitor having to sit out and not being able to contribute on Saturdays, not being able to do what you've done your whole career and be able to produce?
Yeah, it was definitely it was an opportunity to either rise or sink. And I think because of my heart and my heart posture, I was able to rise and to see what the team needed in spite of my difficulty and in spite of my injury. But being able to serve the team while I was injured also helped me push through the work that I needed to do to get back, because it wasn't just about me. It was about, I love these guys and I want them to be as successful as possible. And within doing that, I need to be able to do my job so I'm able to contribute to the team.
You're a guy who's gone through change before, obviously spent time at Iowa State. You come over here, you were in Jacob Yoro's defense. Last year, you guys changed defensive coordinators. You bring in somebody who knows his stuff when it comes to defensive backs as well. What's it been like working with DT, getting to learn from him, and how different is his defense from Coach Yoro's?
It's been truly a blessing, like I would say, because Coach DT, he is a gem. When it comes to football and just knowing the ins and outs about defensive schemes, but also offensive schemes, knowing what the offense is going to try to do, he's definitely helped us elevate our game in terms of positioning ourselves to make plays outside of just being skillful and just physical, just being faster. No, mentally we need to be up to speed as well. So he's definitely helped in that area, also spiritually as well, helping us have the right mentality. And there has been a drastic difference in the defensive change, but over these past couple of years, we've buckled down into what we needed to enhance and study a lot more within the defensive scheme as a team. So I think this year we'll be able to showcase how much more we know the defense, and then from there we'll be able to elevate it even more.
As you return to the field, where have you felt your game grow the most during your time here at Hawaii? Obviously, the 2 years that you were very productive on the field, and then even last year you said you're still able to serve the team. Where do you feel you've grown the most as you enter this season?
I've grown the most in my leadership qualities and skills, but also my mental side of the things, because going throughout high school and even being at Iowa State, it was a big transition because I went from corner to safety, but I didn't really have a coach to sit me down and really help me understand what I needed to know about the game. But at the same time, I was always hungry for the knowledge, so that wasn't the problem. I just needed the direction of where to go, and I think Coach DT and even the coaches that we have now, they help us with that. They give us the direction that we need to go in, and from there, it's on your end to either take the counsel or not. So I think that's where my game has enhanced the most, but also physically, just my speed and everything, my quickness, because I know I'm a bigger guy, but I'm also long, very physical. So just being able to get faster and switchier has been a side of my game that I've really been focusing on, especially at corner. So yeah.
You guys have some pretty good wide receivers on this roster. How helpful is that to be able to get back up to speed where you know you can be? How helpful is it to go against guys like Buffele, like Nick, and I mean the whole list?
Yeah, it definitely gives you a sense of urgency of where you need to improve in terms of your weaknesses, because those guys, they're very adamant and aware of their skill set as well as yours, because we study each other. So it's iron sharpening iron. But every day we come out here, we compete, so we know that we have to be on top of our game. And if we see something where it's like, I know you're not going 110%, we'll push each other, and we'll make sure that we're continuing to get better, because that's what it's about.
And then last one for you, August 23rd. That's the date everybody keeps talking about. These first couple of weeks of practice have been a little bit of a change. Obviously, midday, supposed to simulate that hotter environment that you guys are going to play in. How have the first couple of weeks of practice been in that heat? How prepared do you feel for week 0?
I feel firmly prepared, honestly, because I'm used to the heat. I got a chance to play in the cold as well, just being from Texas and everything. But even just the past couple of years of being here, experiencing what it's like to play in those noon to evening games, I still remember. You never really forget those memories, especially when it's super hot on the field, playing in Hawaii. But it's one of those things where it's like, at first we were trying to be mindful of it, but now it's like, okay, we know that it's going to be hot. We know that this is something that we've been preparing for, so it's not something that we're continuously trying to harp on. We got to push through this for sure to make sure that we're on top of our game.
And that was UHDB Virdel Edwards catching up with our Paul Brecht following Saturday's scrimmage the other day. Well, yeah, it's the other day. Anyways, I'm so
works.
We're just like I said, we're rocking and rolling. That breaking news totally was like, whoa, what's happening in the basketball talk? So I'm like trying to slowly transition to the stuff that everything we had planned. But no, again, I mentioned it earlier, having Virdel back at least as an option right now. And I will preface that by saying we'll remind everyone what Dennis Thurman said, being a little conservative in terms of Virdel's availability once it comes game time, just because he missed an entire season last year. But nonetheless, having that guy back, I mean, you can just tell by that interview, like how self-aware he is and how much that he personally looks at some of the things that he's improved on. So I think it's just, again, I like we were excited about the men's basketball team getting Gytis Nemeiksa back. I feel the same way with Virdel Edwards being able to get back and hopefully stay healthy and remain with the Rainbow Warriors this season.
Yeah, I'm super pumped to have Virdel back. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. I think he's a professional prospect in a lot of ways. You talk about his frame, you talk about his mental, you talk about his actual ball production when he's on the field. It's just injury has been tough for him, right? I'm very excited to see what he can do under the stewardship of a Dennis Thurman, under a PJ Manaya, under this defensive staff, just in general, how he can continue to grow on this field. And when you talk to him, you just want to root for the kid.
Yeah.
And a kid, he's probably my age at this point, 2019. Now he's 2 years younger than me. He's a baby. But no, it was just a really nice chat with him. He is somebody who I look at as a really key piece to this defense after losing Cam Stone and Sibo Brown in the offseason. Obviously, two different ways that they lost them. But if he can step in and just be your CB1 and kind of replace, and I don't want to, that's a hard thing to do, obviously, but he can kind of just replace the type of production or the shutdownness of a Cam Stone or even a Sibo Brown. That's such a big step for this defense after losing both of them. And then maybe you see one of these transfer corners pop. Maybe you see one of the guys who got some time during last year. Maybe one of them takes a step forward, which we've seen them getting opportunities to do in practice thus far. So to me, Virdel is a big, big key to this defense. He's somebody that I do want to talk to a little bit more just because I think he's got a very interesting perspective on the last couple of years on how things have gone for him. So, I think it'd be a fun story.
Yeah, and I am curious to see how much, when he gets out on the field, how much he potentially improved or looks significantly better because, this is technically would be his first time actually playing under Dennis Thurman. And like you said, PJ Manaya, obviously both coaches, PJ getting elevated, being on staff, but being elevated to his position. And then Dennis Thurman, we saw how he totally shaped this defense last year and how he talked about a lot of they're going into this season is a lot of just improving that communication where they've learned the scheme. Now it's just tweaking a few things, preparing for the offenses that they're going to face. So I can only imagine, and like you said, I can agree with you. Hard to say that you're going to put that expectation that he will replace a Cam Stone or Sebo
Just
Brown.
probably not fair.
But it's not an entirely far-fetched idea, right? It's not
No.
like that will never happen.
It's not that he doesn't
It's
have
like,
the talent. It is more just, I would never ask that of somebody coming off missing an entire year, especially right away. Like maybe by the end of the year, I think he could work his way up into that. But I don't expect him to be CB1 immediately, week 0, ready to shut down everyone and anyone. And here's the thing, he completely has the ability to do that. I just don't want to put that expectation on him right away. And that's me trying to kind of follow the lead of a Dennis Thurman. And that's part of the reason why I think we heard some pause from Dennis when we talked to him, just to kind of be like, hey, this is a very talented player, but this is a player that we want to have for the entirety of the season. So that means we can't just rush him all the way back in and be like, hey, give us 60 snaps on a hot day and be perfect. Like, it's just not fair. So I do understand why they want to work him back in a little bit more.
Yeah, the good thing is, like, and you mentioned it there in your chat, is that he kind of has a pretty good offense that he has to go against to kind of work back in there. It helps that you got to attempt to lock down some pretty good receivers on that other side that you're going against at practice. I mean, we talk about it all the time, right? Like, where this team, it feels like they're solid on both sides of the football, where they can continue to push each other in these practices, where it always felt so much like the defense would dominate the offense. But now the offense is coming up there and be able to put pressure on the defense in some of these practices. So all around, looking forward to this men's basketball. Oh my God.
I get it. I'm in the same place. Though, to be fair, I'm getting
football. Oh my God.
I'm getting an article up right now, to be fair. But
it's
yes.
what happens, like, again, like squirrel, it just you throw this breaking news at me and like to start to derail everything that we already had planned for the whole show. But nonetheless, Virdel Edwards, again, if you missed hour number 1, you did hear my chat that I had following Saturday's practice again with special teams coordinator and tight ends coach Thomas Sheffield. Gonna take a break. When we come back, we'll get back into some surfing conversation. As I mentioned earlier, and in hour number 1, we talked about the Honua Finals that went off this weekend and crowned a bunch of champions from all across the state and Japan, which is cool. It's the World Cup of Interscholastic Surfing. Well, when we come back, we will let you hear from a couple of those young winners next on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Kule Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, and hawaiisportsradio.com. And streaming live on our YouTube channel like we do this and every Monday. And you can tune in to us live every single weekday from 8 to 10 or on demand at hawaiisportsradio.com or wherever you get most podcasts. All right, want to go back to some surfing conversation as I was out at Aloha Monday Bowls yesterday covering the Honua Finals, the second annual Honua Finals, the World Cup of Interscholastic Surfing, in which there were 6 champs crowned yesterday, including a couple of team champs. But we heard from the event organizers in Dave and Maya Kazama in hour number 1, and also heard from Kamehameha School's surfing head coach Jason Shibata, whose girls team took home the team award for the Honua Finals. Now I want to let you guys hear from a couple of the winners yesterday. We'll start off with Zoltan Polson, the boys shortboard winner out of Maui Preparatory Academy. So here is a quick chat with Zoltan, and actually it is not me that you will hear. It is the gentleman I was standing next to in Mitra Barrel from KHON2 who was out there covering the event with me as well. So here is what Zoltan had to say following that win in the shortboard.
All right, to start, congrats.
Thank you so
Just
much.
talk about the final heat.
It was kind of a slow start. There was a set and like the horn didn't ring till like kind of later, so we missed that first one. And I was kind of hoping to be on the first wave, but ended up not working. And now it's like 8 minutes has gone by and still haven't got a wave. So, but I was just trusting the process. My game plan for the heat was just try to get the sets, and I think that's what I did. I think I got 3 waves, but my first 2 completed them and went well. So I was nice and comfortable, and yeah, super psyched to walk away with the win, and yeah, love this comp and super stoked to just surf bowls with nobody out.
What does it mean to win the Honua Finals and especially represent Maui?
It means a lot. Maui Prep, my school, west side of Maui, and yeah, stoked to take this home for them, and came here last year. I think I got 4th, and yeah, super stoked to win this one.
And again, that was Zoltan Polson, the Honua Finals boys shortboard winner representing Maui Prep. And Maui Prep also taking home the team award for the boys. Now, heading on over to the Kamehameha School's Kapalama. Again, we heard from head coach Jason Shibata in hour number 1 as the Kamehameha girls took home top finish for the team, but also had a couple of their surfers take home top spots for the individual competition. I had a chance to catch up with the girls longboard winner out of Kamehameha Kapalama, Puaiohi DeFries, and this is what she had to say following that massive win yesterday.
First of all, Puaiohi, congratulations. How are you feeling right now?
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm feeling stoked. That was like the best bowls I'd ever surfed, and I'm just smiling left to right. Like, I couldn't have asked for a better summer, so that was awesome.
I was just about to ask, how was it pumping out there?
Oh, that was big waves, man. Well, maybe not for other people, but for me, that was big waves. It was so much fun. Like, I only got to surf with 5 other girls out. It was awesome.
Yeah, and how does it feel to represent your school in Kamehameha?
Oh, I'm so proud. Like, I'm so grateful to my coaches and all my teammates for like helping me up, and my family for supporting me. It's super awesome. I'm so happy to like represent them.
Yeah, and what can you just say about this event? It's only the second one ever, but it's such a great event for a lot of the interscholastic surfers, but now high school surfing is going to come here to Hawaii. But how does it feel to just be participating in something like this?
Oh, it's awesome to be a part of this event. I'm so thankful to the Kazama family. They did a lot putting this together and providing us lunch. And all the vibes are so good. Like, I met people from Maui, I met people from California and Aotearoa, so it's awesome.
All right, last one for you, just if you want to say a shout out to anybody.
Shout out to my dad and all my siblings. They were at Maui for the state champ races for Okra. But yeah, thank you for supporting me.
So cute. Again, that was Puaiohi DeFries out of Kamehameha School's Kapalama, who took home the Honua Finals girls longboard title. So she was just like, as if you couldn't tell maybe over the radio, she was beaming about that. And I think that was really cool too. Like I mentioned earlier, like bowls was pumping, And I think maybe what was out there could potentially be the biggest I surfed either. So I totally understand you, Puaiohi, because this girl does not charge the massive waves back when I used to surf. And shout out to just that family in general. Her saying that her dad and the siblings were on Maui for the HCRA State Championship Regatta. I know Kyle Galdera was out covering that as well. I guess this is the best time as ever to shout out Lanikai Canoe Club of Oahu, who won its 6th straight state title via an impressive 95-point margin over Hawaiian Canoe Club of Maui. So huge weekend in water sports. Again, congratulations to all of the young student athletes that were out there competing from different countries, obviously here in Hawaii, and then also on the continent out of California. You had representation from New Zealand and Japan, and the Kazamas, I believe earlier in our interview with them, said they're going to welcome Canada next year, and I forgot the other country that they said. So a lot of representation, and that is why it is dubbed the World Cup of Interscholastic Surfing. And just one more time telling you guys who won and took home some titles yesterday. The team awards going to Kamehameha Kapalama for the girls and Maui Preparatory Academy for the boys. For the shortboard, you had Saho Hirata out of Hosho High School in Japan for the girls shortboard. And again, Zoltan Polson out of Maui Preparatory Academy for the boys shortboard. Longboard, as you just heard from Puaiohi DeFries from Kamehameha Schools Kapalama for the girls. And Khalil Pinares Scully from Seabury Hall for the longboard boys. And bodyboarding, another representative from Kamehameha Kapalama for the girls bodyboarding winner, Kai Lana Tong Matthews. And for the boys, Felix Barton out of Hawaii Academy of Arts and Sciences, PCS. So, whew, that was a packed time. And I did not get sunburned, everybody. So
that is the most impressive thing to me.
Exactly. That is the biggest accomplishment of the weekend, is that I put on enough sunscreen and had my hat on to be sure that I did not get sunburned. And shout out again to Mitch from KH12 Sports, because it was funny because I was there and I had like my eye like in the lens of my camera shooting, which we'll have more content up on our social and our website a little later today. But and then I kind of feel somebody come like next to me, and then I look over and he's like got a backwards hat on. He doesn't usually have the
Very
backwards hat
casual.
on thing. He did have a KH12 shirt on, but I didn't like see that right away. And I'm like, who's this next to me? And I'm like, oh, that's Mitch. Hello, Mitch. And then I had to send you guys a selfie. I was like, let's take a selfie. You're gonna send it to the guys.
It was the best way to start my morning. I was so excited. And the funny thing is, he didn't really. Normally he makes jokes about that stuff. He didn't make a joke that day, so I was like, what the heck, Mitch? But I guess he was too locked in working the surf, you know.
Yeah, that's just what happens. All right, we're going to take our break a little early because we still have a lot more to go over to close out the show that has already been a packed Monday so far for us. But when we come back, we will go back to some high school football. And again, our Michael Escaro was out covering the scrimmages this week. You got a lot of the season now starting up this weekend. And it's going to continue to be packed from here on out, as we talked about it before. But August is officially here, which means the sports calendar is officially getting started. But when we come back, you will hear Michael Escaro's chat with new Moanalua football head coach Keone Batoon and what he had to say over the weekend. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, closing it out on this Aloha Monday following a very packed weekend and heading into this new sports season. Again, high school football games, official games getting underway this weekend, including a bunch in the OIA. But now you got to kind of work your way into things. And so they had some scrimmages over the weekend, and Michael Iscaro was out going at multiple locations to cover some of these scrimmages. And one he did stop by to go check out is Moana Lua, because Moana Lua under a new head coach now in Keone Batoon. Again, Andrew Manley, their former head coach, relocating to Arizona, and expectations still pretty high there for Moana Lua as Keone Batoon and just having a strong St. Louis football connection coming over there for Na Menehune. But here, without further ado, here is Michael Iscaro's chat with, again, new Moana Lua football head coach Keone Batoon.
Okay, Coach, first scrimmage, in the books, what was your quick thoughts from what you saw tonight?
I think we got a lot to work on as far as defense. We got to start faster, run to the ball a little better. It's a few things we got to clean up there in the secondary and in the front. But overall, pretty good. I'm excited for what we're about to go into. But yeah, still a lot of work to do.
You were in Coach Manley's staff last year. You stepping in. I think is this your first head coaching gig?
Yes.
So I guess how has the boys been taken to you?
Good. They fall in line. They do a great job of paying attention to the details and giving their best effort out there. But yeah, it's been going pretty good so far.
Now I know you're a defensive guy, but on offense, it definitely helps in your first year when you have a legend like Ron Lee on that side of the ball. So just talk about him and what he does for your team.
Oh, he brings a lot of wealth of experience, and for our kids on the offense to have that to lean on and to guide them. It's showing out here. I think we scored a couple times, and then the first two teams, the first defense of Leilehua and Roosevelt. Roosevelt is kind of impressive on defense, but Coach Ron, like you said, is a legend, and he's doing his thing right now, and we're glad to have him on our staff. Very grateful for that opportunity.
Defensively, I know that's your side of the ball. I know transfer portal kind of hurt some guys in the secondary, but who are some of the guys to watch for on defense this year?
I think it's still in the secondary, because our coaches do a great job coaching up the secondary. We've brought some guys along and developed them over the summertime, and they've stepped right into the role of what we do defensively. So, we miss those guys, but they're out there doing their thing, and so are we. So we're just moving forward.
Are you able to name these defensive studs, or are you trying to stay under the radar?
Yeah, I want them to make a name for themselves. They have the ability to do it. They just got to go out there when the lights are on Friday nights and make a name for themselves.
And then offensively, I guess, who's the players to watch for?
Our quarterback, Tyler, he's picking up the offense really well. And we got a bunch of receivers, We got Kaisen Kealoha, we got Ryder Chang, Laukea, and we also got JV, and is another good receiver. And then our running back is also another great threat, Kamu, but he's another one to look for.
Yeah, you guys were probably the favorites to win the OID1, during the season, but injuries kind of hurt you guys. For the boys that are coming back and stay with this team, how much was that? It almost feels like you don't know how good you guys could have gone because of injuries. So it's not like you guys fell short. It's almost like it's a question mark and unfinished business.
Yeah, no, definitely it's unfinished business. I think we picked up where we left off last year with the new offense. These guys have picked it up very well, so it's moving along smoothly, and hopefully we can be favorites again, come this season.
And again, that was our Michael Iscaro chatting with new Moana Lua football head coach Keone Batoon as he looks to, again, continue to be the favorites. And Na Menehune have a big one to open up with this Friday in playing Campbell. So obviously we know no Jaren Keave Sangapolutele, but Campbell, you can't sleep on Campbell, man. They're producing some studs in football. So a big, hey, welcome to the head coaching job in the OIA for Keone Batoon there at Moanalua following Andrew Manley's relocation to Arizona. But we got to play football this weekend. High school football is here again right here on Hawaii Sports Radio. You'll be able to hear coverage of Leilehua at Waipahu. Kyle Galdera and Paul Brecht will bring you your call on television this weekend. On Friday, you will have Lahaina Luna at Waianae. That will be on Spectrum XCast. And Kamehameha Schools Kapalama at Farrington. That will be on OC16 again this Friday. And then Saturday, more high school football for you on television because Saturday we're not covering anything because we will be at the 4th Annual Sisterhood Social. So Saturday, Punahou at Kapolei will be on Spectrum XCast, and then St. Louis at Kahuku. I know a game that a lot of people are looking forward to. The rematch of the state championship will be on OC16. So you guys don't have to try to follow up on social media or make that drive all the way down there to Kahuku, especially if you're one of the St. Louis guys that live here in town. Sometimes it gets a little difficult to drive, and their parking is difficult if you get there a little too late. So luckily for all of you high school football fans, that big time St. Louis Kahuku matchup will be on Spectrum OC16 for all of you. And then there's a bunch of other OIA games going on. Again, this for most of August, it is considered OIA preseason, and the actual OIA league play gets started towards the end of this month, the last weekend of this month, actually. So if you guys want to see the full August schedule for the OIA, because again, we are the official radio exclusive radio home for the OIA. You can go to hawaiisportsradio.com, click on the OIA tab, and you'll kind of see not only a link that has the August football schedule for you guys, but a lot of other stuff, some broadcasts from last year that you can listen to on podcast. Our schedules, our upcoming broadcast schedules is where you can find that as well. And of course, mahalo to Ko'olau Federal Credit Union, our presenting sponsor of OIA football on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. Woo! Let's go, Paul.
I can't believe this. Wow. I can't believe the season's here. I can't believe the season's here. It's legit. Even the scrimmages is kind of crazy to me. It feels like we are in the middle of summer vacation still. I say that as the school's literally kicking off today.
Yeah, we heard the traffic reports that it's crazy today.
Yeah, but even so, what a fun time. As you mentioned, mahalo once again to Ko'olau Federal Credit Union. We appreciate them and anyone who does sponsor the OIA or any broadcasts here on our airwaves. You guys know that one of our favorite things about this job is providing a platform for these kids to look back at and listen to, and for families to have, and try and do the very best that we can. And this is another year that we get to build upon that. I love calling games with Kyle. We're going to get an opportunity to call a few games together this year, which is very, very fun. As much as I do love Darnell and how incredible Darnell is, I do get jealous sometimes because I love calling games with Kyle. But no, I'm excited for when we get Darnell Arsenault back on the broadcast as well.
He is our first ask, but apparently Waialua is traveling a lot this year, so shout out to the football team, and he kind of has to take care of his athletic director duties before
that
this.
Job is important.
So we hope to have him on for quite a few this year, but at least for August, the dates I sent him, he's a little busy with Waialua athletic director duties because the football team is traveling a lot this year.
And I am more than happy to fill in during those times because, like I said, always a fun time with Kyle. It's always a great time whenever I get an opportunity to go out and see all of the young talent that Hawaii has to offer on the football field. It's always a good time for me. I mean, last year we got to see, with this type of matchup, we got to see, and we didn't even know it at the time, a future Rainbow Warrior in Matias Ioane, who has been a standout during Hawaii football training camp thus far. Had to get a little Leilehua propaganda in there. It's my alma mater versus
your ceremonial alma mater. I don't know what it on it. I don't know.
I claim Leilehua. It's them versus Michaels, so I Gotta get a little extra propaganda in there. We got the basketball propaganda in there. We got the football propaganda. Now we got some high school propaganda. What can I say? No, I'm only kidding, guys. I won't be a biased broadcaster when it comes to this weekend, but very excited. Leilehua at Waipahu should be a fun one. Waipahu coming down from the open division, so should be a little bit more their speed, and I don't mean that derogatorily, obviously, but it should be a little bit easier for them to compete. Last year, the open division, a little bit too strong for them. They go 0-5 in conference play or league play, 2-7 overall, so I don't know. I'm excited to see what Waipahu brings. I'm excited to see how Leilehua builds off last year despite losing some key talent. They also bring back some key talent. And then, obviously, there's the high school transfer portal that I never know about until I show up. So
what? Never. They don't. There's no transfer portals in high school.
These teams, I don't know if they're, I don't know if they are specifically benefiting from the transfer portal. Feels like these teams might be ones who sometimes get pulled from their feeder programs. It feels that way, the Division I for the Open and so on and so forth. But either way, I'm excited. Should be a lot of fun. Should be a lot of talent. And it's only here on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Yeah,
So
and we
it's the
are
most fun.
anticipating a very competitive matchup because, as you say, Waipahu moving back to Division I, Waipahu has won a state championship at that level. Leilehua winning the state championship for Division I last year and now moving up to the Open Division. So that's kind of why. And Waipahu, they kind of got obliterated via the non-existent transfer portal last season. But now, from what we've heard, they've replenished a lot and have a lot of talent again this year. So that's kind of why, too. I'm like, this is going to be a very, at least on paper anyways, we'll see what happens on Friday.
Obviously.
This is going to be a very competitive matchup. Again, Waipahu and Leilehua. And as we know, we are here, so you can listen to that right here on HSRN. And the television games will be on Friday, Lahaina Luna at Waianae and Kamehameha Kapalama at Farrington. Again, go to hawaiisportsradio.com, click on the OIA Sports tab to see the full August schedule and also take a look at our broadcast schedule and where we will update it more because we still got to add girls volleyball to it too once we get through everything. Oh my gosh. Never ending. But you know what? Couldn't ask for more. I love it.
You know
Here
what
we
is
go.
ending? The show. We somehow made it through with getting to, I think, everything, right? Even with some breaking
I think
news.
so, yeah.
Look at us go. Go team.
If you guys didn't or weren't thinking of, go and listen or watch a show on demand because there was a lot you may have missed. But for now, we do got to go. For Paul Brecht, I'm Ku'ule Agbayani. Bye!
Home of the Los Angeles Clippers,